Out of all the natural disasters and conflicts of the late 20th century, none presented a bigger threat to humanity than Ulysses1994XF04, a massive asteroid that caused the biggest humanitarian crisis in history and has been the bedrock for many conflicts. Discovered by researchers from the International Astronomical Union in December 1994, the asteroid was designated 1994XF04. Continued observations of its trajectory and velocity showed that it was heading towards Earth and impacting the planet. The IAU soon reported their findings to the Federation of Central Asia, which ordered a further investigation and tasked a team of astrophysics, geologists, and astronomers to determine the threat that 1994XF04 posed. After additional observations, scientists concluded that 1994XF04, now named Ulysses, was 1.6 kilometers in length and was on a collision course with Earth. In October 1995, researchers from the University of Pomona, Schellsberg University, calculated that Ulysses would enter Earth's Roche limit on July 3, 1999 at 3:30 p.m. USIA Eastern Standard Time, which it would shatter into fragments and bombard the northern hemisphere with the force of 2 million nuclear warheads, enough to plunge the world into a nuclear winter. At first, the FCU kept this information from the general public so that a panic would not ensue, but eventually did, as a solution was only viable with the help of its allies. On April 20, 1996, Robert Sinclair, the president of the FCU, revealed the existence of Ulysses and the threat it posed at a historic press conference. Many people around the world were shocked, and panic soon followed. A meeting consisting of the members of the Central Asia Treaty Organization immediately followed after the press conference to discuss how to deal with the threat that Ulysses posed. During the meeting, the Secretary of State for the FCU proposed the creation of a missile defense system between members of UTO. Alternative proposals included a satellite-borne anti-asteroid laser system. Eventually, the FCU's defense initiative won out as there were fears that it could be repurposed into a weapon platform. Known internally as Project STN, Stonehenge Turret Network, the plan called for a construction of an array of railguns, later named Stonehenge, to be built to protect the continent of Eusia from Ulysses, including North Point's Fortress of Intolerance. Both the world's superpowers, Russia and Yuktobania, did express interest in helping in the construction, but were unable to due to the outbreak of the Balkan War and recovery from the devastation that the war brought, but still took in refugees fleeing from the continent to escape the oncoming asteroid. By June 1998, construction of Stonehenge was complete and most of the continent was under its range of 1,200 kilometers, even as the continent was in the middle of a massive coup d'etat. Around the same month that Stonehenge was completed, gravitational analysis from an IAU probe revealed that Ulysses had a hollow interior and that the impact of Ulysses would be larger and bring the continent of Ania in danger of Ulysses. Despite the new discovery, the FCU chose to make Stonehenge more reliable for their allies. In response to this, Ameria began to construct networks of underground shelters in preparation for the asteroid, while the Federal Republic of Slovakia began construction of Chandelier, a massive railgun to counter Ulysses, but unfortunately, it was not completed in time. As predicted, Ulysses passed through Earth's Roche limit on July 3, 1999, shattering into thousands of small fragments over a period of 5 days. On July 8, fragments began bombarding the surface of the planet. Many fragments were intercepted by Stonehenge, although one managed to knock out one of the railguns and managed to prevent a mass extinction level event. But many fragments still impacted the continent, causing massive damage, most notably Newfield Island, where a large chunk of its eastern face was wiped out, Fort Gray's Island, with the largest island essentially being wiped out, along with the city that was on the island, leaving only a few crumbling buildings as a reminder. The city is Celtapura, with a fragment landing outside the city and causing a tsunami that killed around 30,000 people. And Eurusia's capital, Corbanti, with tens of thousands being killed from the impact and ensuing floods. The largest of the impact craters being the Goldberg crater located in Whiskey Corridor, which caused the Irisone River to dry up when an asteroid fragment caused the river to flow backwards. This led to the city of Old Anchor Point becoming a graveyard of grounded ships left in the desert. For the continent of Ania, most of Ameria and northern Novak was unharmed while its neighbor Slovakia was devastated, with 8 asteroid fragments striking the country out of 10 that impacted Ania. By the end of the 2-week bombardment, 500,000 lie dead and millions more displaced as refugees, the economies of multiple nations devastated, and laying down the bedrock for many future conflicts. With many refugees around Usia, Utah began to set up a quota-based system for each country to take in said refugees. However, Eurasia, with its economy and major population centers devastated, announced they would not be able to take in more than 200,000, despite what the other countries were expecting. With the Eurasian Minister of Foreign Affairs prepared to update, claiming that Ulysses affected Eurasia more than any other country. Soon, large numbers of refugees soon gathered near Erusia's borders, which made Erusia call for NGOs to relocate them, which were ignored, causing many to die and fall ill, along with an increase of crime rate in many of the border camps, which caused the IUN commissioner to ask for other Eurasian countries to expand their acceptance rates, with few responding. Many nations instead began to embargo Eurasian exports, causing tensions to worsen between Eurasia and Utah, eventually leading to Eurasia invading San Sebastian and starting the First Continental War. Meanwhile in Ania, Slovakia suffered widespread devastation to its economy and infrastructure. This led to Ameria to send humanitarian aid and reconstruction aid in 2000, but because of how devastating Ulysses was to Slovakia, it would take decades before it would reach the economic level it was at during the 1990s. Government control of its regions soon fell apart, causing a power vacuum that led to armed groups vying to take control of said regions, soon starting a massive civil war that lasted from 2007 to 2013, which led to the establishment of a military junta that led to the Ameria-Slovakia War due to the accusation that the American government was supporting the remnants of an opposing faction. While many fragments impacted the planet, many still linger around Earth and occasionally fall towards the planet. Elimination of these fragments were impossible due to the destruction of Stonehenge and megalith during the First Continental War. Osea and Yuktabania soon designed weapons to attach to the Arkberg, a maneuverable, low-Earth spacecraft designed to counteract Yuktabania's SLBMs during the Cold War, clean up any fragments left in orbit. While not perfect, as some did fall to the surface, the Arkberg managed to clear most of the lingering fragments in low Earth orbit. However, as Usia still hasn't recovered from the damage that Ulysses caused in the Continental War, the FCU, Osea, and the government representing Eurasia discussed how to deal with these issues at the 2008 G7 summit on the Arkberg. All parties reached agreements at the end of the summit and began to collaborate to begin the recovery of the continent. One of the agreements was the construction of a space elevator proposed by President Vincent Harling, with Osea covering the initial costs and the needed supplies to construct the elevator. One of the major benefits that the space elevator promised was the large amount of renewable energy from solar satellites that would help power the entire continent, along with being able to be used as a giant communication towers that can cover the entire continent as well. Construction began on the space elevator in 2011. However, many nations, including Eurasia, feared that Osea was using the space elevator as a cover to take over Usia, a fear that was held by the Spring Treaty that resulted in the Usian coup d'etat. By 2019, tensions hit a breaking point and Eurasia and its allies declared war on Osea and her allies, starting the Lighthouse War. The impact of Ulysses is considered by many to be the turning point of the late 20th century, and by some to be the beginning of the 21st century due to the impact it has made on the world and human civilization. With the devastation it left behind, it's no wonder why many consider it to be the starting point of the 21st century. Many use the date that Ulysses impacted the Earth as a day of remembrance for those who lost their lives to Ulysses.